because Hopkins did not see that punch. Now,
first time Hopkins is on the canvas in 16 years.
Wow.
Round 2.
And a point worth noting, this is the first fight in 3 years in which Pascal has really felt healthy coming in. He had a shoulder injury, had surgery in 2009, had a torn bicep before that. Finally, he said, I have been healthy for a whole training camp, so we'll see how that helps him.
So Hopkins, who was looking pretty good there in the first round, is put down in the final seconds of the first round. A right hand to the head.
And Stephen, I was really looking to see if Pascal will be over anxious and excited because of the crowd tonight, but the young man seemed to be totally under control.
Very focused, which isn't easy at home where there are so many distractions.
And Pascal has won part of the battle because he is making Hopkins come to him. And of course he's the champion, so if you're the challenger you have to go get it. But I don't think Hopkins is comfortable in this mode.
No, and again, if Hopkins is going to have to rely on his reflexes, I think it's going to be a long night. You know what I mean? Because he is 45, and those counter punches are effective that Pascal is using tonight.
Yeah.
Pascal is looking to unleash that big right hand again. He knows this is how you make a name for yourself, by beating a marquee name like Hopkins.
We talk about Hopkins coming into this hotbed. This is amazingly only his third fight outside of the United States. That's almost hard to believe, but it's true.
And he has really come into a lion's den here. Pascal, who grew up idolizing Roy Jones. Ironically, that's the same philosophy, though, I mentioned earlier, as Bernard Hopkins. Beat the big names to make a name for yourself. There's a school of thought that one of the things that motivates Pascal is avenging his idol's loss to Hopkins, winning tonight for Roy Jones.
Yeah, but he told us, he said, I want to be the first Jean Pascal, not the second Roy Jones.
And again, he allowed Hopkins to open up, and he's catching Hopkins with the counter punch. I don't know how Hopkins is going to solve that tonight.
One way Hopkins could solve it is by getting that jab going, which he started with, but now he isn't.
It's something that worked well against Felix Trinidad when he won. Missed with a right hand there, did Bernard. The crowd oohing and eyeing. A lot of movement by Pascal, who is feeling very confident. Right hand off the top of the head, another one by Hopkins. The first clinch. Something we saw a lot of in Hopkins' last fight. Oh, a leaping left by Pascal just before the bell, right on the neck. In attendance tonight, luminaries, former Canadian heavyweight champ, the very popular George Chuvalo, who took on Muhammad Ali twice in the 60s and 70s. There's the road warrior Glenn Johnson, who fought Bernard Hopkins in '97 for the middleweight belt. Hopkins stopped Johnson in the 11th. Johnson was undefeated going in. And undefeated IBF super middleweight champ Lucien Boutet, living in Montreal, where he routinely draws sellout crowds. Boutet and Pascal, a potential matchup.
And of course, both those fighters coming up on Showtime. Brian McGee going to be the opponent of Boutet in March, and Glenn Johnson, he's going to take on Carl Froch in the Super 6. So we look forward to seeing them in action.
Boutet recently signed a multi-fight deal with Showtime. If Boutet ever fights Pascal, they say here that could be the biggest fight ever in Canadian history. Yes, even bigger than Leonard Duran. It's round 3. We have one knockdown. Final seconds of round 1. A right hand to the head of Hopkins. Hopkins goes down for the first time since '94.
Right now, Steve, it looks like Hopkins is using that jab as a pawing jab. He's just, trying to set him up, but he needs to go ahead and try.
A running left hand there by Jean Pascal.
We talked about work rate. Right now, they've thrown almost the exact number of punches. Pascal's thrown 59, Hopkins 57. So in terms of work rate, they're very, very similar right now. the clash of heads there. And there's always a danger that with Pascal because he has those bull-like rushes.
Again, he's leading with one punch and countering with the other, and Hopkins hasn't been able to solve it yet. He almost missed with a big left hook then.
Bernard going downstairs to the body. There's that overhand right that Hopkins wants to throw and land often in this fight.
Pascal has a great chin. Very tough to get him down. We certainly saw that in the Carl Froch and Adrian Diaconou fight. Great fight.
Hopkins told us if you beat the crowd, you beat your opponent when he's fighting at home. But so far, he's not silenced the crowd. They have been emboldened by that early knockdown by Pascal.
Over 16,000 on hand here. And a counter right and a good left hook to the head by Hopkins.
It's a very close round. Hopkins getting a little more done than he did in those early rounds, in those first two rounds.
Pascal knows he's in there with a clever, wily old veteran. Oh! And down goes Hopkins for the second time of the fight. He's not hurt. 20 seconds to go in the round. Ten seconds. Hopkins is trying to buy time and get to the corner. The bell has sounded. Hopkins keeps punching. Michael Griffin didn't hear the bell. In fairness to the referee, it's a very quiet bell.
And a very loud crowd.
Bad combination for the ref.
For the second time, Bernard Hopkins visited the canvas in this fight. A left hand and another hook, and it sends him down. Hopkins was saying it wasn't a knockdown, but there were two left hooks there that did it.
No, it was a clear knockdown, and the reason why is because right here, Hopkins relaxes, and Pascal was still in position to throw the left hook.
And at the end of the round, things got out of hand. Michael Griffin could not hear the bell, excuse me, and Hopkins just kept punching.
Well, Hopkins probably didn't hear it either because I didn't hear the bell ring.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what he was hearing. Are you kidding me? That was a ring or a rope.
Hopkins is up first, ready for round 4. So now he's been on the canvas twice. One in the first, one in the third.
And that was a round in the third round that Hopkins probably was winning, and it might only be a 10-9 round because of that, but he still went down and he lost the round.
So Bernard Hopkins has some catching up to do, and those are fast hands.
Yeah, they are. You know, Hopkins did not want to get himself buried in a hole because he's not a big puncher. He's not a knockout puncher, and if this fight gets away from him, he may need a knockout late.
Over the years, Hopkins evolved into a more technical fighter, but in the early years, he was known for a very good right hand. But he hasn't had a knockout since September 2004 against Oscar De La Hoya.
That's 9 fights ago. Good hook downstairs by Hopkins. Neither man has done much body work. See the power punches in this fight, and that's been relatively even in terms of numbers thrown or landed, but clearly Pascal's have had more impact. Another good body shot by Hopkins, though.
Yeah, Hopkins is doing some good work right now. I don't know if Pascal's trying to take this round off. I think they butted heads then.
Hopkins really needs this round. Got to get some confidence going after being on the canvas 2 times. Even though he's disputed both knockdowns, they were legit.
Pascal is a very difficult fighter to fight. He doesn't fight in the same rhythm as most fighters that you fight. Antonio's been talking about that all week, and it's made it hard for Hopkins.
Yeah, you know, I've said myself, those type of straight-up conventional boxers, Hopkins can chew them up and spit them out. But when you got a herky-jerky fighter, you don't know what he's going to do. You can't time it. It's hard for Bernard.
Hopkins coming on. Yep. He's landing.
And the left hook has been the signature punch in this rally. And it's been a good rally for Hopkins. And I think one of the keys he unlocked here was that good body work against Pascal. That's been effective.
Hopkins' best round. Right hand off the top of Hopkins' head by Pascal. Combination upstairs by Hopkins. Gets in and out quickly. Goes to the body with the left hook. Right hand on the top of the head. And it's being called a slip. It was to the back of the head. And Hopkins went down off the slip.
And that was a great call by the referee. It was definitely an illegal punch.
Again, Pascal hitting to the back of the head at the bell.
Keep it up, buddy. Keep it up. Breathe deeply. Breathe deeply. Keep it up, kid. When he comes near you, counter punch. Be aggressive there. All right, use your left.